great evening. I thought that this evening I would read The Intellectual Trap, Knowing versus Knowing About. Now, I get a lot of ones that will come on my channel, one of my channels, and they'll start spouting all this like they're the Advaita police and think that because they can parrot these words, that they have something. Okay, they're going to come and try to instruct me and show how absolutely brilliant they are and what they know. Okay, so I thought today would be a good time to read Knowing versus Knowing About, because there is a huge difference between the two. So this goes from number 645 up to 677. Okay. The Intellectual Trap, Knowing versus Knowing About. 645. That's better. Sorry about this, but I need to see. The understanding that you don't know is a first step to being open to encountering the truth of being. First, you have to recognize that you don't know, that you don't have the answers. If you're not open to that, you'll never get anywhere to begin with. Number 646. Such is the way of intelligentsia. Confusing being able to rattle off philosophical stances with liberation. If you're still suffering, that isn't it. While it may fool others, if there is no peace at the core of it, then it's an empty well. No living waters, no water at all. Eventually, that one will have to admit that they are parched and in want of the real thing. You can't drink from a mirage and be satisfied for long. Number 647. Realization simply is. It's not a viewpoint. There's no self in the moment of realization that realizes its self, big self. There is nothing other than that. Well, this is the difference in being realized and having an intellectualized holding about realization. They are 180 degrees away from each other. So people think that when they get to realization, they'll have a bigger ego self. Okay? I'm going to get to my higher self. My higher self. There is no your higher self. Okay? That your goes right out the door. Never existed. Okay? Let's go forward. 648. How can one abide as the Atman until one knows what the Atman is? You can't fantasize your way there. You can't use affirmations to realize what is always present. You can't abide as Atman until there is no I. 649. Philosophy is a mentally concocted set of ideas until all the conditionings fall away and it is a reality and not a philosophy. There is no philosophy or philosophizing with reality. Okay? Number 650. Source is known once the mind is stilled. So rather than this soapbox mentality of trying to teach the sight's guru, why not spend time within stillness, letting go of the mental drama until that which you are attempting to philosophize about is known? Then all of this becomes nothing more than Leela. 651. This is where most are stuck, attempting to gather and learn, to put it into place. This only solidifies that which must go. What is there to gather? Transient knowledge? Self is eternal and unchanging. There is but to let go of the transience of separation, then one dissolves into the vast ocean of being. 652. If you are intellectualizing over and over again, you will never get it that way. 653. If you are still attempting to learn, this isn't a college course that you learn by rote. 654. There is only that wisdom that breaks the chains of knowing once and for all that I am that I am. 655. For the jnani, there is no attachment to form. Neither does mind play occur, or does an I amness of I. This is the fallacy of an intellectual, conceptualized understanding. What, me? Wait until you are not. Kali is not. The world is not. But absolute presence is. There is nothing to be maintained in that moment. There is no universe. 656. After realization, the universe once again springs into view through the sense organs, but it's a sham, neither real nor unreal. Liken it to seeing a mirage. The waves rising up from a hot highway, one knows it for what it is. The waves are not taken for having any solidity. They are illusions. Also from the heart. So likewise is the world a moving mirage without substance, like the hot air waves, neither real nor unreal. Seeing happens, but there is no seer in place. There is simply bliss cognized and the infinite stillness. What rises and falls is the mirage, nothing more and nothing less. And only self is, no personal self, but the primal essence which is. And you have fallen away into the void. 657. How much conjecture does one have to read before they are convinced it is known? Why waste time reading about apples? Quit and go find an apple tree. Sit under it until they ripen. Pick one, then enjoy. No matter how many thousands of books you read about apples, it only takes one bite to blow them all out of the water. It's up to you which is more important. 658. In realized being, there is no longer any questions that remain. There are no answers from anyone that suffices. It's only through direct reality, not echoes in time, that the truth is beyond truths is. It is uncovered not by external debate or haranguing, Rather, it is by allowing the creationary mind of desires and aversions to die to its self-manufacturing. Words are within themselves obstructions. Debate sets up other and keeps the Dvaita mind spinning out of control. 659. Will an unmoderated screenfest and online debate be any help as to going beyond the mind and the self and desires or aversions at hand? No. It's only in going within, confronting the self, that the mental games and threads that bind are severed forever. So, thank you again for your invitation, but we'll leave it to the seekers who hope to find something outside their self to battle, create, and sustain their dramas. So this is why if I get somebody on the site that wants to come and spout what they think they know, I don't get into an argument. I may sit there and give a comment, then I block them and send them on their way, because they're never going to get it. Okay? They think that they understand something and they're going to argue a point. They become the Advaita police, and just go in endless circles, and their mind is spinning. Okay? You can't argue stillness, what it is to be this, with somebody that's doing this. Their mind is there, and you're like, okay. Big difference. Number 660. Talking about realization or the path does about as much good as talking about food when you're hungry. Okay. 661. You can't try to experience Satori. Satori comes when the time is ripe. Otherwise, you're attempting to manufacture what you think Satori is. One has to have a foundation in place before it is possible to dissolve the self-story, etc. 662. Insights are valuable along the way, as they keep you searching until everything falls away. Then one laughs at all the concepts which we thought we had, at the reality which is turned inside out. All the mentations end. It is so simple. 663. It is only when you quit bragging and boasting about what you really don't know, but simply know about, that you really begin on the path to where the ignorance may be stripped bare, until the unknown that is beyond all relative knowledge is known. So now you're starting to get real, and one can only progress within an attitude of realness, which is open and empty rather than full of foolish banter. 664. So, you want to collect more data. How will this equate with inner peace? To become a better person? Better than what? 665. There's nothing to know. Relational knowledge and a couple of dollars will get you a cup of warm coffee. Okay? In other words, please don't confuse collected concepts with knowledge, as the only knowledge that has full value for you is that which you come to discover on your own as one surrenders within the practice. The rest is simply a foundational starting point. 666. It is difficult to want realization so much, and yet it remains just outside your reach. You can talk about it, but why isn't it freeing? Simply because it isn't an intellectual knowing. It's a life-changing, whole, consciousness-altering, timeless event that never goes away. The consciousness enters into this is that remains forever reality. One that is undeniable, holds no doubt, the source absolute, unchanging, pristine, beyond mind, beyond time, beyond space, beyond division, that simply is. 667. Absolute is not viewed by a persona. No persona is cognized. No world is cognized. No relative knowledge is cognized. There is nothing to say other than it is. Minus name, minus form, minus mental images, minus emotional content. It is the whole of being. The rest is dust in the wind. Maya now becomes the beautiful Leela of life. The essential essence, 100% life that has no death. The basic, unchanging, eternal, forever pure, untouchable is. That allows and makes possible the transient and ever-evolving world. Shakti, that has its inherent center, is nothing other than this seed of life, the bindu of eternal full potentiality that is the vastness of the universes. Its limited state is Shakti, transient flow, forever creating and then disbanding into another creation. 668. None of the reality can be really fathomed by reading these words. It can only be entered into where the whole dynamic awareness is changed in an instant, in the blink of an eye, and the universe is forever altered. The me that dies on the way transforms and remains as Parashiva, which dissolves all darkness in the light of truth. What returns is Parashiva Parashakti. The overwhelming cognition is that this is the reality. It is the core and center of all of your being. It is one without a second. There is nothing that is not this is. Only reality or truth has any life or substance. The unreality, the shadowy specters of death, pain, suffering, Maya, are only shadows in the mind without substance, without a cohesive center, nothing more than Maya. It is not an intellectual knowing. (669) It isn't my intention to continue with philosophical debate, etc., as it only goes so far to aid you in your progress. You won't get much further until you stop the talking and begin to start walking the path. 670. All relative knowledge is nothing other than separational bouncing mind, creating and sustaining a barrier called separation. I versus other. When there is only one, what is there to chase? What is there to cling to or wrestle with? What is there to define? What is there to categorize? What is there to learn? There's only God or essence that is, and this is Leela, play. Beyond this seeming external shell called Swamiji or Sadashiv or whatever, there is only one divine essence which is, so submerge and dissolve into this is. 671. The substance of primary essence, which is source or consciousness, can never be understood by intellect, as intellect is mind, which is created by thought, which is movement of consciousness into energy and form. Therefore, it is only when the five senses and the mind have been stilled that which is abstract intelligence or self or source may be entered into and experienced directly. Actually, entered into is not a correct correlation, for it is the basis for all that appears as substance at the heart of all creation. Simply, that substance is. 672. Look at facts. You have no direction, no wisdom, no direct experience to know what is the truth from the fallacy being generated as a philosophy. At this point, start seriously meditation and start asking for instruction and the keys that chip away at illusion. 673. Many think if it's channeled, it must be higher. Not so. Or just because they contact something that's out of body, it must be wiser. Once again, not so. Why? Why would you channel when the knowledge can be there firsthand? And what is the difference in channeled versus any book that you read? It still isn't known more directly. That is the delusion, that it is somehow more special, and yet more often than not it's tainted with ego's, mind's, wants. 674. What is life for? What's life for? Knowing self, which is knowing all. I'm not speaking of knowing all relative knowledge in the phenomenal world, but that still point which makes possible all knowledge. Number 675. I am committed to those I am serving, for a guru's life is simply of seva. There are many well-meaning authors that unfortunately lead many astray, since they're writing from assumptions and gathered hearsay rather than out of direct experience. What I write or what I give instruction comes out of verified experience and not out of scholarly gathered knowledge, which is all relational and transient at best. 676. Insights come until all falls away, and the source, which is reality, unchanging and permanent, is known, and then the transient is known to be the fragrance and simply the byproduct of is. It is then entered and enjoyed as Leela, as play. Once everything deconstructs, you go from Maya or illusion to Leela, to play, because there are no more binding aspects there for you. Okay? 677. This is the trap we fall into. We've all done it, equating knowing about, which is only hearsay, with knowing, which is actualized fact that has no room for doubt. This is an easy trap to equate that I understand the words, therefore it must be known. But as my guru told me point blank, you fool, you know nothing. I sputtered and I choked and was mute for 2 days. But this threw me into a deep state of self-inquiry that tore the foolishness of conceptualization away. I can say honestly that no concept holds a candle to what is. So for those that come and they want a guru that's going to pat them on the head and tell them they're going to be okay, and just say, you're so fabulous, it's so wonderful, you get that? That might not be what they need. Okay? Don't underestimate when a guru has to be harsh and hard and throws you back on yourself. Because sometimes that's what's needed to break through. That shock, that sudden just boom, energy that is point blank just hits you like a rock, a solid wall, and you can't go any further. Okay? Throws you back in on yourself rather than projecting outward. Now, finally, one becomes silent. And goes within and starts to observe, question, neti, not this, not this, not this, until all deconstructs. And then you know what is grace and you know what is true compassion versus this phony, syrupy, sweet, modeling, coddling thing that people want to think is compassion. Okay? Little velvet bars of ropes that tie you up. That's not compassion. Okay? So I'm going to leave this here. So many other things in this book. Also, there's a section on, of course, self-realization, on love, on relationships, on sex. I mean, just about everything you can want on some sort of an answer. Here's one on God, reality, non-duality, bhakti, karma, karma yoga, the heart, surrender, the now versus the past, The ego. Oh, the ego's got big, it goes for a while. The ego's a big subject. Mind. I read fear, desire. There's emotions. Anyway, there's a lot more in here. Thoughts, vairagya, witnessing. So lots and lots in here. 220 pages of Song of the Butterfly, finding the freedom within. So I'm going to leave this here. Thank you for tuning in. Again, those that are on the Tarot channel, if you enjoyed this, please click the link for like. Those on my other channel, click it if you want. It's all good. So I hope everyone's having a great day. See you online. Namaste and aho.